Well, well. Hello, Joe. Hello, everybody. Hello, Glorious Beaver and Morgan and all you dorks with normal dude names. Why does everybody on YouTube have a normal name now? That's something that never used to happen. Like, has it just gotten to the point where all the cool nicknames are taken? Is that what's going on? There's so many people that just have normal names now. Like, I'm Zachary Dumond, and I'm Joe Blow, and I'm John Jones, and I'm. You too basic to come up with anything? Come on, man. That's one of the funnest things about the internet, isn't it? Is that you get to come up with like a persona, like a little nickname, a moniker, a moniker for yourself, a new way of branding yourself or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? At least that was half the fun for me. I guess maybe I'm not into the same shit you guys are. But yeah, dude, that was half the fun of like the early internet for me was like I don't have to be Paul Parkey. Hey Paul, how's it going? Stuck waiting on a homeowner so I can get to work. That sucks. Well, my YouTube's connected to Gmail. Oh. Yeah, but I mean like well, whatever. I just think it's strange. How do I become less sensitive? I don't think you necessarily should. There's plenty of insensitive people in the world. Why don't you just be a sensitive person? What's wrong with being sensitive? Like, why is being a sensitive person automatically a negative these days? Like that's not a negative thing. You're an empathetic. Sensitive means empathetic. We need sensitive, easily butthurt folks in this world. I think most people just realize it's easier than being doxxed. No, I don't think that's it. I think the other dude hit the nail on the head. I think people are just like, I can't even really think of like a superhero name or like an alter ego name. So I'm just gonna be my name. I'm Joseph McAllister. Do you have any memories of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride? Yeah, dude. When I was a kid, um, my family and I went to the Pirates of the World, well, Disneyland quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, I guess. There's people that live in LA that go 3 times a year or something, but I probably went 3 times in my childhood because we lived close enough that we could drive to LA to do it. And yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean will always and forever be my favorite ride. So yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love it. I still love it as an adult. I love taking people on it for the first time. Like I got to ride with Ashley and Beyond Fear on that ride. It was both of their first times going on it, So it's just awesome. I don't know, that ride is great. They've added some shit and subtracted some shit that's kind of lamentable. They've shoehorned stupid ass Captain Jack Sparrow into it, which I guess is to be expected because now he's in the movie. My tithe to the Church of Saltoology. Yes, yes, yes. Send your tithes. Beyond Mounds, yes. Why are you wearing a homeboy shirt? I grew up around homeboys, dude. I like homeboy shirts, I guess. I like this shirt. I think this shirt is cool. And if you don't like it, Lato, you got a problem, I see. Right here, me lord. Yes, me lord. Is Vision a cool alias? I don't know about cool, but whatever, dude. I don't know about cool, but whatever. Did you wear skate shoes like ES or DCs? Well, the skate shoes of my era were like low top Airwalks, Skechers, and fucking what are they called? Yeah, the Skechers, the fucking Chuck Taylors and Vans. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I wore a lot of Vans when I was a teenager. I can't wear them fucks now, man. The old school Vans are good for teenage people, young folks that have got good feet and good knees and good legs and shit. But I'm telling you, dude, if you've never worn a pair of Vans, putting them on is like it's almost like being barefoot. They're just so like rudimentary, you know. Did I skate? No. I grew up around a lot of skaters. A lot of my friends were skaters and stuff, but I was never into it. Junko jeans. I don't think I ever had any Junkos, but I had like the big ass baggy jeans and stuff for sure. I just don't think that brand was ever one that I had. This noble is getting depressed. I'm mad because my limerick is blessed. Just call me a god. I made you from sod. Paul's ego will make me a mod. No, Blue Noble, I'm sorry, dude. That's not good at all. That's like a D- one there. Vans are too thin to do anything in except skate. They're really good for skating. A lot of my friends used to talk about how they felt like, you know, Vans helped them skate because it allowed them to have more, you know, foot contact with the board or whatever. Yeah, the rhyme scheme was off, the meter was not perfect, and the rhymes were forced. And yeah, it was just, that's a D-, man. Dirty Chucks all day, yeah. Yeah, I had a bunch of Chuck Taylors, and then I used to like the kind of low top Skechers and Airwalks, and British Knights were another one that skaters would wear back in the day. I had a pair of I remember I saved up a bunch of money from like doing odd jobs and mowing lawns and stuff, and I was able to get together like $100, and I wanted a pair of Jordans, dude. I wish I still had them, but I wore them to pieces. I got myself it must have been like 91 or 92, because I would have been like 10, 11. But I was able to save up enough money to go into the Foot Locker in town and get myself a pair of red and black 91 or 92 Jordans, which was so cool. Those were fucking cool shoes. LA Gear, yeah. I remember LA Gears. Reebok pumps. I had a pair of Reebok pumps growing up. Everybody wanted the pump for a while, man. That shit went out real quick. But the pumps, man. Reebok pump. Had like a basketball on the tongue that when you did it, it would blow up like a little air bladder in there and it make it tighter on your feet. There were all kinds of like, I remember there were commercials where a dude would like try and dunk the ball and he'd miss, you know, he wouldn't quite get high enough, and then he'd like bend over and pump his Reeboks, and then he'd be able to dunk it. Pumps, aren't those a kind of high heels? Yes, they are as well. These I'm talking about though were high top like sneakers that had like a little pump system on them that, like I said, when you inflated them, it would make it like tighter on your foot, snugger, I guess, on your, I don't know. I don't think it did anything, hence it not being around. Yeah, on the tongue of it, yeah. It was shaped like half a basketball, and you would like slowly but surely it would get tighter on your foot, and then if it was too tight, there's a little thing next to the basketball you could hit, and it would go and let out the air. Hypercolor shirts were cool. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that nobody has done like a cool hypercolor shirt since back in the day. But yeah, that shit, nobody does that anymore. Yeah, hypercolor shirts were like, they didn't last long. I think that's why people stopped doing them. But when they were brand new, you get a hypercolor shirt and you could put your hand on it, and just the heat from your hand would leave like a handprint on the shirt in another color, usually a lighter color than the shirt was. So you'd get a shirt that was like dark blue, and you put your hand on it and leave it there for a couple of seconds and pull it away, and you'd have like a tan handprint on your, you know what I mean, or like a yellow handprint or whatever. Yeah, those were kind of cool. Hypercolor shirts. Did you see that fan art I made of you, Ashley, and your pets? No, I didn't. Send it to me on Twitter. Holy shit, I remember those. Yeah, dude. Hypercolor shirts. Those were pretty dope. I only had one, because I think they were pretty expensive, too. You know, I think they were trying to get, like, extra because it was a hypercolor shirt. So I only had one that would do it. And I remember eventually it just turned into, like, this weird combination of both colors that it would turn into. So it started as, like, a darker blue shirt that would turn yellow, like I talked about. And then eventually it just went somewhere between dark blue and yellow, just some kind of, like, gray, brownish purple. And it just stayed that way. Heelys. Yeah, I never had a pair of Heelys. I'm too old for Heelys. So by the time those hit the market, I was already, you know, in my 20s, I think. You hate government, but yet want more of it. Paul's ego is feeling real good. Oh, hold on. This is another try. Paul's ego is feeling real good. His content looks just like it should. His speeches are great, but don't ask for a date, because Ashley's got him by the wood. Okay. I don't know how you went so far up in quality, but that one was better. That one was much better, my friend. That one was much better. You know what, dude? Just for the, not even, it wasn't an A plus, but just for the giant leap in quality between the two. Welcome to the Spectres, my friend. We've got another poet, another warrior poet. You're inconsistent. That's exactly what I like in a Highdeology mod. It's all good. Your mod tax. Oh, yeah. Coleman's got a Ponzi scheme going on. Goodfellas or Casino? Why do you make me choose? Which one do I prefer? That depends on my mood, man. I've watched both of those movies an absurd amount of times. And there's different times for, you know, different movies. Like, if I want more of, like, that coming-of-age gangster tale, I do Goodfellas. You know what I mean? If I want that more, like, hard-boiled, we're already adults, kind of glitz and glamour Vegas gangster deal, I do Casino, you know? They're both the same genre of film, but they're both very different in terms of the feel and presentation. So, you know, I really think you only compare them as gangster films, right? Yeah, that's really the only thread you could compare them against one another with. And for me, like, that's the only thing that they really share in common. They're very, very different movies. Wolf of Wall Street and Goodfellas feel very similar to me. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know about very similar, but I could see your point on that. Yeah, they both have that kind of like rags to riches, starting as a doe-eyed kid and becoming a hardcore kind of, in one case gangster, another case, you know, businessman or whatever. They both have, you know, drug subplots and angsty wife subplots. So I can see it. Would you eat dog meat? Under horrible circumstances, yes. I would never go out, you know, selectively and eat dog. But I'm not gonna lie to your face and tell you that, like, if the bottom fell out of society or something, that, like, dog wouldn't be on the menu. it would be for all of us. Would you eat dine or never? Never, never, never. I would kill myself before I ever heard Dinor. My friend is in The Departed. He was 10 years old. He's in the beginning, in the garage, all the way on the left. That's funny. I didn't get The Godfather at first, but I loved it after a couple of watches. That happened to me. I remember the first time I watched The Godfather, I thought it was boring. But I was like 10. You know what I mean? And that made me avoid The Godfather for quite a bit of time, probably till my like early 20s. I didn't really fuck with The Godfather at all. And then I watched it, probably at like 19 or 20, and I was like, whoa. You know, so it's just more, I think it's just like kind of a maturity thing, you know? Sometimes you're just too young to understand. Would you eat Ashley, or would you let Ashley eat you? Yeah, that's fine. What's with all the like, what would you eat shit? Let's not. I don't want to talk about cannibalizing my girlfriend, all right? Go off in a corner and wank. I'm not feeding your vor desire no more. My dad watched it when I was very small, and I did not get it. Yeah, my mom and dad both loved the movie, and I remember them telling me, "You ought to watch that movie, PJ," because I was into movies at this point. Like I was trying to watch a lot of movies, and they ended up getting the first Godfather, I think, on VHS, and I popped it in, and was like, "This movie is boring, man." I just felt like it was nothing but talking and. You know, I really wasn't old enough, I don't think, to appreciate the dialogue heaviness of a film like that. Which movie do you go back to the most? I don't know, man. That's one of those questions I wish I had life stats for. Like, you know, GTA style pause menu for life where I could go through and look at all the weird shit I've done. I would say that it's probably like The Big Lebowski. If I had to pick a movie that I've seen the most times, it would have to be The Big Lebowski or Aliens. I can't even, I'm trying to think of one that might even compete with those two in terms of rewatches. I mean, I went through a time in my life where I did a lot of movie rewatching, so there might be some movies that I'm leaving off the list that I've seen a bunch of times. But those, probably one of those two, I would guess. My favorite animated movie, it's probably An American Tail. I remember being scared by that movie when I was a kid, but I used to love it. It's a movie that I'll still go back and watch every once in a while. I think it's just great. Dune hype, yeah, buddy. You and me both. Yeah, I really can't wait. What's your favorite fight in a movie? Oh, I'll tell you what, man. There's something to be said for the showdowns between the Gladiators and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Running Man movie. They might not have the best choreography of any fights ever, but I used to love. I mean, I still do. I mean, that movie to me as a kid, I used to watch it, and it felt like I was watching just like a long, more slickly produced WWE episode with blood and guts. It was crazy good. So, you know, I really like those types of. I like that type of setup in a movie, you know, where there's like one dude versus this endless gauntlet of crazy weirdos, you know, like what was it in Running Man? There's like a weird sumo wrestler, hockey player guy with a sharpened hockey stick. There's like a fat dude that shoots electricity because and uses his like voice to power it. He's like an opera singer. Da 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 da. Bzz, you know what I mean? Yeah, Sub Zero and Buzzsaw. Yeah, yeah. There's just like that. The whole movie is great. I don't know. I really like the fights in it. I really like the showdowns with each one of those dudes and how it just kind of ramps up towards the end. Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan in A New Hope. Please tell me you're joking, dude. That's one of the, like, if you go back and watch it, I mean, whatever. It works in the context of the movie, but if you go back and watch it, that's one of the, like, lamest showdowns ever. Dynamo, yeah, that was his name, huh? Sub-Zero, now Plane Zero, yeah. Favorite miniseries? You know, there was this really cool TV miniseries back in the day called Alice Through the Looking Glass. It was so weird, I can't not pick it. It's old. It's like from the 80s. I remember I had it taped on VHS and I used to watch. And I still go back and I'll watch scenes from it and stuff. It's incredibly weird, incredibly like, it's done in this super self-aware, surreal kind of way. Yeah, it's the one with Carol Channing in it, and a bunch of other, like, Rip Torn is in it. Didn't they reboot it? They might have. I haven't seen the reboot. Did you watch Aliens in 1986 when it came out, or a few years later? Well, I was 6 in 1986, so I probably didn't see Aliens until a few years later on tape. I think I saw Alien and Aliens for the first time at about age 9 or 10. Like I said, that was the age where I was really like starting to get interested in films, and like I was watching them before that, but I really at 8, 9, especially like 10, 11, I really started getting into like I want to see every movie. I want to see all these good movies because I kept running into movies like Alien and Aliens that just blew my fucking mind. Like I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe Alien the first time I saw it. I just couldn't believe such a movie existed. It was so crazy to be, to be able to see those things with a fresh pair of eyes. What movie is worse, Alien 3 or 4? 3 or sorry, 4. 4 by far. 4 by a long shot. Yeah, 3 is not even really that bad of a film. People shit on 3, I think, unnecessarily. What do you think of John Carpenter's The Thing? I mean, it's just like, it's one of those masterclass movies in practical effects, right? I mean, you look at it and it looks better than 99% of the movies that come out now. It's made in the 80s. That should tell you something. I mean, there are some shots in it that don't hold up as well as others, but I tell you what, that movie is 95% visual gold, and that says something for being as old as it was. Paul was born in recession, cannot maintain a profession. By night he gets high on reefer and rye, for it dulls his sense of depression. I like that one. That one's pretty good. That was pretty good. That's not an A plus to get you modded up, but it's pretty damn good. Not Alien Covenant, in my opinion, that was worse. I really don't think so, man. I really don't think so. It's really hard to get worse than Alien 4 or Alien Resurrection, as it's called. That movie is just head-scratchingly bad. Head-scratchingly bad. I gotta get something to drink. I'll be right back. You don't go nowhere, yo's. You stay right where you is. Ooh. Whatever. Whatever. That was an ordeal. And Squex is out in there. Which... All right. Sick on your day off. That should be illegal. Did you watch Nightmare on Elm Street at the time it came out? Yes. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it around the time it was out. I remember my little sister had nightmares for like months and months and months after watching that. She was younger than me too when she saw it, so. But yeah, I've seen a lot. I saw a lot of the old classic movies when they were newer, and yeah, it was a cool time to grow up. Freddy was the worst part of my childhood. Yeah, Freddy. Freddy was a spooker, man. He's a spooky one. He scared kids extra because we all had dreams and shit, you know? So the idea that he could come into those was like, that's not a pleasant thought. Freddy. What do you think is better, The Thing or They Live? I mean, The Thing, I think, is an overall better film. They Live is probably a more, I don't know, dude. It's probably a more relevant film if you talk about like the social impact of a film. You get tired after an angry rant? I mean, yeah. Yeah, I do. How many dreams do you actually remember? Not many. Not many. Yeah. I can have vague recollections some nights of what I was dreaming about, but it lifts like it's like a fog. It like when I wake up, I'm never thinking about, oh, that dream. Let's think about that dream and really like codify what happened in that dream. When I start thinking about like what I was dreaming about, it's usually 10 or 15 minutes after I'm awake, and by then it's too late. You know, it's like, God damn it, what was I dreaming about? You'll be left with this like vague insinuation of a feeling you had in the dream, but be damned if you can land on anything that happened. Does Ashley still scream in the night and wake you up? She used to, yeah. Every once in a while, she'll like, not necessarily a scream, but it's like she'll make like a loud like you know, and I'll be like, huh. But yeah, it happens. She also kicks. I'll get kicked sometimes in the night. Huff your grandma's liniment. Huff your grandma's liniment? What is that? Is that a turn of phrase, or were you actually huffing liniment? I don't get it. Excited for Endgame? I wouldn't say excited. I wouldn't go that far. I would say that I'm looking forward to it, I guess, but I wouldn't say excited. What will you DFF tonight? Who knows? Who knows? If you had $1 million given to you right now, what's the first thing you would buy or do? Probably pay off my debt, pay off credit card debt and stuff like that. Probably the first thing most people do. It's actually a show on YouTube that deep fat fries things once a week. Yeah, I know. I've heard of that show. And it's actually twice a week. Would you mind if I give a hint, Paul? Yes, I would mind. No hints for these fucking plebeians. I know how to defeat Thanos. Just use 3 times the resources you would have normally. Can you become Blobfish Man to defeat Thanos? Sure, I'll do it. Squirrel Girl. Oh my god. Do you drink much? No. Drink very seldom. I got drunk for the first time in like months, I think, this week for my birthday. So, yeah, it's been, I just don't drink. I used to drink a lot. I drank pretty much solidly through my teen years and through all of my 20s. And I just don't like doing it anymore. How to defeat Thanos. Give his big purple downstairs head the big suck. Get out of here, Morgan. Trying to get muted, Morgan. Come on. Come on. Come on, dude. Act like you're... Even if you are 13, act like you're not 13. Try and pretend you're a grown-up. Would you consider doing a girlfriend tag video with your lady or a story time video about how you met? That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. I don't know if Ashley'd be interested in doing it, but yeah, doing just like a, you know, like a Q&A where she's going to answer all the questions you guys have. Do you think we'll ever have a governmental system that works for everyone? Probably not, no. You were on death row and we're about to be executed. What would you want your last meal to be? I don't know, man. Probably my mom's enchiladas and like a big tall frosty Coke with that really good crushed ice in it. That's like snow. Yeah. That's the meal to go out on right there. Did you do a DFF on prison culture? Sure. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Salisbury steak with a side of mac. Yeah, like snow cone Coke. Yeah, yeah, but just like, you know, not quite. Like more Coke than snow cone, but with just like a big, you know, fistful of that snow cone ice in there. So it gets all frosty. What DFF idea would you love to do but YouTube wouldn't allow? I think I've talked about this one before. Since we started this show, wanted to do a DFF on all the racial subgroups of humanity. DFF the Jews, DFF Caucasioids, DFF Hispanics, and all the way down the line. But I don't think it would fly like on YouTube. I'm on pre-op liquid diet for weight loss surgery a week from today. I want enchiladas and Coke so bad. 2 of the best things on this world has to offer. Oh yeah, you ain't kidding. Best of luck with your surgery and stuff too. You'd be banned in a week, yeah. Be banned immediately. Top 10 races, yeah. But yeah, I don't think that one would fly. I would love to do like a GG Allin episode, and I'd love to do that one as a public episode, and not just a private episode. I think we could pull off a private GG Allin episode. And if we do that, I'm gonna fight tooth and nail to be the researcher on it because I think I know more about GG Allin than either of these dudes do. I might be wrong. Any tips on how not to get banned on YouTube? Yeah, don't upload anything. Don't ever speak. Don't leave comments. Don't interact in any way. Just sit and watch. You'll never get banned. The patrons, please start voting on what the free show will be. And I mean, I met GGS, brother. It wasn't pleasant. What? What? Do you ever share responsibility for research, or is it always up to only one of you? Yeah, we share. Some episodes will split up. Like if it's a particularly dense episode, or an episode that we feel would benefit from like our very different styles of pulling being kind of thrown into one, then we will split up the pulling. I'm trying to think of an example. It's just so hard for me to think of examples because we've done so many shows that they all kind of run in together, but I'm trying to think of what the last example or the latest example of a show where all three of us contributed to the to some aspect of the research. I don't know. Oh, you know what it was? I think it was the Rob Schneider episode. I think we all kind of split up and took different takes on different aspects of him. But yeah, we do it. It just depends. Like, there's some episodes I think that really benefit from being researched through one of our particular lenses. So I think I tend to have a strong ability to couch our kind of biographical episodes because I think that I just naturally think from that kind of perspective. You know, I've got a very humanistic way of looking at people, and I think that it comes out well in like biography type episodes where we're taking a look at one interesting person or one interesting group of people. So I end up taking the reins on a lot of those types of episodes. TJ's got a flair for the kind of teardown episodes, and so he tends to take the lead on a lot of that. He's also really good at like the true crime stuff. He's got a real passion for that sort of thing. So TJ typically takes the lead on those types of episodes, and then Scotty's got a very analytical mind, a very like math-based mind. So any episode where statistics heavily factor in, any episode that involves like the comparison of two different or disparate ideas, any episode that talks about the impact of an idea or a person on the world, Scotty is typically the guy that we want to put front and center on those types of episodes. Does TJ get the final decision, or can you veto? Nobody in our group has the final decision on anything. We come together as a trio of dudes, and we all agree. And if there are holdouts or reservations, then shit don't like it doesn't move forward. Like, we don't go forward with something unless we're all on the same page. That's just the way it is. You should talk about what drew America into the American-Spanish War with the bombing of the USS Maine. Yeah, I've read A False Flag, possibly. I thought TJ was the sole proprietor. No, sir. No, sir. We are a three-headed dragon. If you had to go to university, what would you study? Probably psychology. Yes, I've had sleep paralysis. It's scary. What kinds of things do you like to do when you're hanging out with Scotty and TJ? I mean, you could probably guess, right? We like to chill, watch movies, smoke, talk a lot. It depends. Like, hanging out, like, if I'm just hanging out with Scotty, it's one thing. If I'm just hanging out with TJ, it's another thing. If I'm hanging out with Scotty and TJ, it's another thing, you know? Me and Scotty, like, if me and Scotty are just chilling together, we tend to get in these long, bouncing back and forth philosophical arguments that are not necessarily like arguments, they're just us agreeing with one another, but we like to challenge the angles on things. So he and I end up kind of locking in these back and forth kind of conversations about broad social issues or government issues a lot. TJ and I end up discussing movies or music or just kind of laughing about things a lot. We're also way more prone to like do a Highdeology together if we're just sitting here, or watch a movie, or just sit down and like flip through YouTube and watch whatever retarded fucking bullshit's going on there. And then if all three of us are together, you know, any number of those things could happen, I guess. You get the mixed bag. I just finished the revisit of Waco and it got me thinking of early events that the U.S. government used inhumane yeah, I mean, there's tons of that. There's tons of examples of the U.S. government stepping outside of its purview in history, and we covered just a few of them that happened in my lifetime. You know, but there are many more, and I can almost guarantee that you'll get more episodes like that out of us as we go along. How much time do you spend doing research on an episode? It depends. Depends on the episode entirely. There are some episodes, like the Jeffrey Dahmer episode, I spent probably, like, I don't know, 48 hours or more of dedicated reading, research. You know, that one was a very research-heavy episode. I had to do a lot of reading and a lot of digging to find anything that wasn't bullshit about Jeffrey Dahmer. But an episode like the one I pulled tonight, probably took me about, I'd say 10 hours total of research and reading and stuff like that. So I would say on the low end, 10 hours or 11 hours worth of research is pretty standard, maybe 12. And I'd say on the upper end, I could spend days looking into a topic, trying to figure out the right way to tackle it. It just, like I said, it utterly depends on the topic. Get it, man. Mother mercy. Mother mercy. Said since day one, Galen would be perfect for DFF. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It depends. I think it depends on the subject. Like, I would love to finally get Galen and fucking Howard Bloom in the same conversation together and have them be oppositional to one another. I don't even think that would be an episode of DFF. That might just be a special. You know what I mean? Because that would be, I probably wouldn't even participate, honestly. I literally would just want to find whatever they disagree most vehemently on, and then just put the two of them in a call and just film whatever happens. Put it up. You're going to get Kyle Kolinski on the show again? Maybe. I don't know. We're not a very guest-heavy show. The topics are the guest on our show. It's one of the little terms that we'll use sometimes. Our topics are our guests, but that doesn't mean we're adverse to the idea of having guests. It's just, from the very get-go, we wanted to be selective with guests. We wanted to have guests on when we felt it enhanced an episode and when we felt that guest enhanced an episode. Not necessarily like just having a guest on and then having them field a normal show with us or whatever. was Kyle Kalinske on DFF? I think he meant again, as in back when we were on DP, he was on. I don't. Hey, Paul, have you ever seen the YouTuber Ukrainian Lens? No, I have not. I don't really watch YouTubers. We were going to get Hugo and Jake on at first, right? Yeah, we were going to get Hugo and Jake on for a big Star Trek discussion and retrospective that we ended up having a scrap because we just literally could not figure out how to get everything working in concert properly. And we felt really bad. We told the guy, they waited around for like an hour while I sat there feverishly troubleshooting the problems, and it was like, just like early podcast problems. We could not get OBS working properly in terms of like, what would happen is like, they could hear us, but we couldn't hear them. Or we could hear them, but they couldn't hear us. Or we could hear each other, but they couldn't hear what we were playing. And I could never get all three of those things corrected at once. So it's just early podcast shit. And we ended up scrapping the whole idea for the episode and kind of retooling it. And walked away from the idea of guests for a long time. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It seems to be behind a lot of the angst and stuff between Dusty and Vadim was technical problems. Although, as they've been explained by Vadim, I don't really understand why they went the route that they went. With their Gotcha Boys stuff. I guess Vadim does everything on Macs, and he was talking about how OBS is a nightmare on Macs, which I can only imagine is true. But there are other programs that you can use to stream from Macs that are made specifically for Macs. And instead of getting one of those, he went out and bought like a whole brand new Mac. But apparently the beginnings of that podcast were plagued with nothing but constant issues and constant technical problems. And dude, I totally feel that pain. I mean, our show still has its bugs and stuff, and it's over a year and change into it now. We're still dialing in the right settings and getting ourselves in the right fucking mode to where we look and sound good, even today. So there's somebody had a quote, or it wasn't a quote, but it was like a list of things, just a list. I can't even remember who it was, but it was just very, very true. It was somebody posting about podcasting, and I remember I saw it quoted as a response to Dusty and Vadim, and I think this is good advice for anybody out there who wants to do something on the internet but wants to wait until they can do it right. I'm not saying don't try and do it right, but your first show is always going to suck. Your first whatever is always going to suck. The idea is that you forge forward and you make every show slightly better. And that's how you get a podcast. That's how you end up with a podcast. You start with a core kind of nebulous idea, and you just start making shows. And that's really why I think the whole Gotcha Boys thing didn't work out. Because from what they've all said, it just sounds like the show was mired in its own complexity from the get-go. Vadim had these visual ideas that required all this like intensive editing and all this crap. And while all those ideas are really good, I'm not disdainful of that idea on the face of it. It's like, at some point, if you want to build an audience and build a Patreon and stuff, you got to make shows, man. You just got to make shows. And you got to be consistent too. That's another thing. That's something that we learned big time from DP. Because, we made a lot of shows with DP, but we were pretty inconsistent in terms of our output, and it hurt the channel. Our like, oh, no show tonight, guys, because stoner. That type of shit happened way too much on that show. And so that's another hard-won lesson. It's like, just because this job is different from a 9 to 5 doesn't mean you can treat it differently. You got to be consistent. You got to crank out content, and you got to make shows to have a show. If you just sit around all day fiddling your thumbs and like pulling your hair out over what are we going to do with this concept or how are we going to make this perfect, you just never have a show. Yeah, you just never have a show. Just look at Mike Duncan. My man's just started recording his scripts with terrible mic, bad radio voice, but now he's delivering consistently top quality. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, dude. And another thing, too, is like, if you're going to podcast with other people, everything's got to be above board before you start. And it needs to be an equitable three-way split and an equitable three-way division of the labor. If it isn't, your podcast is going to fail. So if I were you, I would take that to the fucking bank, because that's the type of shit that kills podcasts. This inequitability between the members and somebody feeling like they're doing all the work and nobody else is doing that. That sentiment it's a killer. And if you don't, like, before you even sit down to make a show, you better have that shit fucking ironed out. You better have it ironed out. And if it's a podcast with friends, make sure business comes first. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. That's a hard one, but yes. When you're dealing with something with the show, friendship goes on the back burner and it's a business. And when it's not treated like a business, that causes discord amongst any group. So you all have to be on that page. If you're not, you're just gonna fuck around and end up burning out. You're gonna end up like the Gotcha Boys, with 1.5 episodes floating out there, and the third upload on the channel is, hey guys, we're canceling our show, canceling our Patreon. My friend's podcast never even made it that far since he gave up due to lack of motivation and the fact that one of his friends just never showed up. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of people out there that want to do it, and they always are asking me, like, how do I do this, or what should I do with this, or what kind of podcast, blah, blah, blah. They ask for advice. I'm sure they ask TJ and Scotty for advice as well. And really, the best advice that I can give you is just make shows. Just get out there and make shows. Because if you're not making shows, you're not getting better. You're not learning the fucking craft. A lot of people just like the idea of doing it. Yeah, you're probably right. You got to respect that there's 50 million people in the world that want to do the same dumb shit that you want to do. And the way that you make it is that you improve your skills. Yeah. I mean, it's very true. I was talking to Ashley about it, not tooting my own horn or anything, but I was just kind of reflecting on the fact that I'm rapidly approaching like the better part of 5 years being a podcaster full time. And all of the crazy ups and downs and lessons that I've had to learn to get there, and how it started, and how where I've come in that time. And then just in the last year and change, how many episodes of this podcast that we've made is pretty staggering. So I'm a patron of yours because I can tell you guys care about the content and the audience. We definitely do. I mean, as much shit as we give you guys, I give you guys shit here, and we give the audience shit, we give the patrons shit. I mean, we're making all this stuff for you guys. We're coming together, every fucking day of every week to make this stuff for you guys. So if you guys wasn't watching, we wouldn't be here doing. The audience is boss. That is absolutely wrong. That's not true. I mean, to a certain extent, I guess that's true, because if the audience mass walks away, then yes, they can pull the plug in that way. But saying the audience is boss that's a minefield, man. That's a minefield. You can't just say that. The customer is not always right. And part of being an entertainer is taking chances and defying what your audience and your customer base wants. Because to a certain extent, and once again, I'm not saying this doesn't apply to me. I'm the audience of every other piece of content out there. So think of it this way. I'm talking about myself too. The audience doesn't know what they want, and it's the entertainer's job to figure out what that is and give it to them. Because let me tell you, and I've talked about this before, the audience as boss, that was a principle of the Drunken Peasants, at least while I was there. I won't speak for the show as it exists now, but while I was there, a principle of the Drunken Peasants was when the audience freaks out and doesn't like something, we stop doing it. And when the audience really likes something, we give them more of it. And that works. I'm not saying that doesn't work, but to a certain extent, if you allow that balance to get off, then the audience ends up backing itself into a corner of boredom, and they don't even know why they're bored anymore. And that happened with DP. It's like the drum beat out of the audience was like more manatee, more crazy people, more DP action news, more coverage of Hillary Clinton or Trump or Alex Jones. And it was just like we'd get on these spiels where week after week after week after week we're covering the same shit. And people liked it for a while, and then they'd start to get bored and uneasy about it, and there'd be drama in the community. And it's like, oh, this episode wasn't all that great. 5 out of 10 episode, when it was, the same type of episode that they were all cheering about 6 months ago. And it's a real fickle thing, man. You got to listen to your audience, but you can't let them be the end all be all. You got to follow your instincts and go with the idea that there's a reason why they come to you for their entertainment. There's a reason why they come to you to hear your voice on things, and it's your job to make sure that they never get stir crazy. In the house of fans, we can't allow people to get so cramped and stir crazy that they, are bored and start launching bombs at the fucking show. And a lot of that means you run the risk of disappointing your fan base, because they're not gonna, you might make a piece of content that you think like, wow, yeah, they're gonna love this, and the response is lukewarm. But that's part of the job. That's a part of the job that a lot of people probably don't even think about. Is like, in addition to the production schedule of this show, we're constantly trying to think of ways to defy your expectations, to change what you've come to expect from us, to look at different things from different ways, at the same time giving you a familiar show that you can come back to with familiar personalities, So it's like a tightrope act, man. There's nothing simple about it. There's this drum beat of like, oh, look at, you guys have, and I understand where it comes from. Trust me, I probably would have, I thought the same thing. In fact, there's no probably about it. I used to look at TJ back when I was working a job, back when I was on YouTube, and just doing it as a hobby. I used to look at TJ and guys like TJ that were starting to make a living on YouTube, and I'd go like, what a fucking joke. Like, I got to go to work every day. I got to go clock in 9 to 5 every fucking day and work the grind. And then this dude just gets to sit around and lazily put out a video or two a day and do nothing. You know what I mean? I had that same kind of fucking attitude, and until I started doing the job. You know what I mean? There's just so much that goes into it. There's so much. You don't really get days off. I mean, I guess that's not true. I take days off here and there, but every day is work. Typically 7 days a week, there's something to be done for the business. There's something that needs to be done, some research, some back-end business stuff, a meeting, pre-planning for some other piece of content that we're working on. There's just always something, always. And if you're the type of person that doesn't want to put in that work, I mean, that's probably another thing, and once again, I'm not trying to piss on the grave of Vadim and Dusty's podcast or whatever, because that doesn't behoove me to be happy when a podcaster fails or whatever. I'm just trying to point out, it sounded to me like Dusty didn't want to put in any time, like nobody but Vadim really wanted to put in any actual time for the show, and that's a problem. You can't just have a show where people just, their whole contribution is, I just sit there and talk, and then I don't put anything into the show outside of that. That's just death. One person can't carry an entire fucking show. Not the front end and the back end. You might have a primary personality on the show, but if there's multiple people involved in the show, these other people are going to have to be doing their part. And if they're not, you got a recipe for drama. You got a recipe for a failed podcast. Oh, Pimp Monk out there, huh? What up, Pimp Monk? Yeah. I'm looking forward to the day where maybe this whole like adversarial shit that our audience seems to feel with the DP audience or whatever, and then the adversarial shit that gets thrown at the broad swath of people that watch both. I'm looking forward to when that's end. That is over pretty much, and it really has. It's died down a lot over the year and change that we've been doing the podcast. But I just don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand the people's desire to talk shit about one show or the other, to constantly compare them to one another. It just doesn't make sense. Don't hold your breath. It's all right. Like I said, it's already happening. Yeah, like just watch what you want to watch. Yeah, I don't understand it, man. It's like there's a TV show that I think sucks. I don't spend all day in a bunch of other fan communities talking about how bad that TV show sucks. I just go to a TV show that doesn't suck and I watch that. You like Life of Brian? Yes. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, there's people in here right now asking me questions about shit that would ostensibly, like, the reason is they're trying to get me to fucking talk shit. So they're asking me questions that they're hoping will lead me to talk shit. And I'm just not going to field that shit, man. I just never have. You guys have never gotten that out of me. I don't know what leads you to believe that you're going to get it out of me. And really, all you're going to get out of me is a ban if you keep spouting off about it. It's just not going to happen. The farthest thing from my mind is Drunken Peasants, dude. I've got a forward momentum that doesn't include looking back over my shoulder. Did you ever start watching The Walking Dead? Yes. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do this. Have you watched shit? Get off that fucking train of thought now, because there's a lot of it. I don't know what we talked about. I don't know what we talked. Maybe it was just earlier when I was fielding questions about movies and shit, and there's still like that, the echoes of that bad decision. Did you see the video of Brett? No, I'm not even going to read the rest of your. I mean, I thank you for the $5, but did you see the video of Brett? Is a question that I'm always going to answer no. I don't watch any Brett. I haven't watched a Brett Keane video in over a year. I don't think about Brett Keane unless somebody asks about him here. He's, once again, a part of my past. So, not really something I'd bother answering or asking in the future. Because if it starts with, did you see that Brett? The answer's going to be no, I didn't. Hey, Paul, good to see you online, my man. Hey, good to see you too, my friend. Has Brett tried reaching? Brett has not reached out to me at all, and if he did, I would immediately block him and ignore it. There's no free flow of information between Brett Keane and anybody else. Brett was in the chat once, and Paul banned him. Yeah. There's a book series I dig that has two authors writing about the same world. Some people hate one author or the other. It's a tribalism thing. Just watch and read what you like. No reason for animosity. Yeah. Well, if you're gonna, don't just ban them, Coolman. Don't bother timing them out. Yeah. If you wanna, if you gotta HTFU, dude. You gotta harden the fuck up. This Brett posting shit. The only way to stop it is with brute force, dude. The only way to stop it. Sometimes letting people read and watch what they want is offensive to my in group. My in group is offended. Can we ask about Brett the Hitman Hart? You can. I heard something happened with him, but I don't know what it was. I assume we'll probably cover it on a flash fried this week if it's that important, and if not, that's another thing about me is I don't spend any time looking at the news.
Okay.
Unless I'm doing flash fried over here.
That's your only news exposure?
At least recently, yeah, I'd say for the last 3 or 4 months. I just got to the point where I was starting to feel like I was feeling a few years ago, where I felt like I was like inundated with like this constant desire to be following the news, and I was like, fuck this. I'm not actually getting well informed watching this shit. I'm just getting nervous and angry and angsty, you know? I'm already those things.
That makes you a good consumer though, Paul.
Oh yeah? Being angsty makes me a good consumer.
Yeah, you know, they pump you full of insecurity so they can get your ad dollars.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, every once in a while I take a nice long break from...
Because you notice all of it. News is like anxiety, fear, and then the commercial is like the balm. Like, but you could have peace and happiness with an Acura.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely a fucking huge part of it. But, you know, some people I don't think are all that affected by it. Let the lion run free. The hunter must roam the prairies.
This is your time, my son.
So Squex is finally healed up from the stick in his eye, and he gets to finally, and he's going to be a happy camper now, run around outside. What a guy.
Nice to me now, bitch.
Yeah, you better stop being an asshole now that you get to run around out here. And you better not come back with another stick in your eye, because then you're going to be an inside cat forever.
Yeah, you get one stick.
Yeah, you don't realize what thin ice you're on, man.
Like, if you come back with, like, some battle shit, I can at least respect that.
Yeah, if another cat jumped you...
Stupid stick in my eye bullshit, it's too stupid to be out here. That's just going to be your life.
I can't really show him running around. He's gone. And this camera's not going to pick him up all that great for you guys anyway.
But he used to movie to play.
Yeah, he didn't get an infection. He got a stick in his eye.
So it swelled up.
So his eye swelled up, and they had
There was a huge stick in it.
like a stick in the tear duct of his eye. Or I don't even know if they have tear ducts, but whatever they have.
Whatever the fuck.
Whatever that little space around his eye. He's lucky to have 2 fucking eyeballs at work.
Yeah, he really is.
But shortly before that, he injured his other eye. Well, Sal did anyway.
Oh, you guys should DFF the Y2K bug conspiracy. Dude, there's another one of those on the horizon. Did you guys hear about this? They're calling it the Y2K2, where apparently in 2020, GPSs are going to have a reset that might shut down all, like, GPS travel and cell phone GPS and shit for... I read about it on the Drudge Report.
I thought they only program it for 2020.
Who knows?
I like going over to the Drudge Report because they got a bunch of political shit, but I just skip that and I read like the weird tech stuff. They've got like a weird tech and a weird...
I go to Drudge too. I'm not really into their politics, but like they always cover like a bunch of weird shit too.
Yeah, that's what I cover. That's what I go there for. Well, I went there looking for Alex Jones shit last night too.
Cures they have. Because they always have like at least 1 or 2 stories about some new miracle cure that's coming for this or that.
Yeah.
Or the other.
They almost made TJ pay $500 for his chances. And then they realized they didn't run it through his insurance.
Jesus.
We were like, what?
That's fucking absurd
That's
that
how
drug...
much a pack of shanties is if you don't have any.
But with my
That's
insurance,
for
it was
1
$0.
month.
Have you tried Wellbutrin at all, TJ?
Chantix is Wellbutrin.
Is it?
Yes.
Well,
Is that all it is?
been on
Pretty much.
Wellbutrin
They just call it
too.
Chantix when they sell it as smoking cessation. I think they call it Wellbutrin when they.
Is it just a higher? Because like, here's the thing, dude, I never had any of that shit on. Wellbutrin was common to give in concert with anti-depression drugs.
Yeah, they use it with antidepressants.
They use it as an elevator, like a mood elevator there, and it's common to give to people with mild anxiety problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got any of the weird like dreams and the like sleeplessness and shit on it.
Well, you know, everyone's side effects are
It
different.
must have something other than that, because people are sleepwalking on it and shit.
Yeah, go grab it. I'll take a look.
It's got to have something other than Wellbutrin in it.
I'm pretty sure that's basically what it is. But we'll see.
Because if that was the case, why even bother getting on Chantix? Just get on Wellbutrin. It's
Well,
cheap. It's like a fucking generic.
I didn't pay anything for it.
Well, yeah.
It was $0 after my insurance, but for some reason the retards didn't run it through my insurance.
Even though I was like, is that with insurance? They're like, yup.
Yo.
Like, no.
That doesn't,
So
like,
we
that
went
doesn't sound
inside.
right. I'm gonna go inside this motherfucker. So we're in the drive-through.
Where are my peony butt boys at?
It doesn't say Wellbutrin. It says Varenicline.
They're in a climb.
Varenicline.
That might be the, like actual drug name. Because, these names, they have like a front-facing name for us.
Yeah.
Wellbutrin, Prozac.
Yeah.
And then behind the scenes, they're like, alprotobluterol, or whatever the
Probably
fuck.
better luck just Googling what's in fucking Chantix.
Yeah.
What's in Chantix?
Chantix.
RX list.
Does your dog do the berry motion with his head when you feed him? Berry motion? Not really. I don't see Dinor do that. I don't know what you mean exactly by the berry motion. He's burying something? Medications never cost more than $11 here in the UK and are free if you are on any sort of government welfare. Wow, that sounds nice. Like he's burying his food. Oh, no. Dinor is, I've got him spoiled now. He's a piece of shit. Like, I think it's, like, I used to think it was cute to give him, because he used to get really excited when I put just, like, a little water on his food. And I call it gravy. I'm like, I'll give you a little gravy. Well, now he won't eat his food if I don't do it.
Oh my gosh.
So, he sat there and,
Softened up.
yeah, he sat there in protest the other night all day. I knew he was hungry as fuck, but he just left his dry food sitting there all day, being all sad, and finally I gravied it at night, and he ate it right up. So he's like a spoiled piece of shit.
It's not exactly Wellbutrin, but it's similar to Wellbutrin.
Okay.
Well, you were on Wellbutrin too for smoking in the past, before you tried Chantix, and it didn't really do much.
Maybe that's why I'm getting confused. Common side effects of Chantix include nausea. Didn't get that. Stomach pain, indigestion, constipation. I don't remember any of those.
Trouble sleeping, unusual dreams.
Yep.
You definitely had insomnia last time.
Yep. I had the insomnia, and I did have the unusual dreams going to sleep.
Unusual dreams.
Unpleasant taste in your mouth.
Maybe that's just because your taste buds are waking up again from not smoking.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That could be.
Yeah, I've given in to the Disneyverse, dude. I'm just gonna invest as much as I can in Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's smart.
I'm just gonna keep investing in Disney because I'm like,
What if they get like antitrusted or whatever the fuck though, and get busted up and you lose all your shit?
I don't know.
You
I
think the
guess it's
stocks
bad.
would really go down? I mean, I guess if they busted them up.
Yeah, if they got hit with a big antitrust, their stock would take
Well,
a
you'd
massive
probably
hit.
hear rumors of it before it actually happened, though.
Yeah, they're not quite at the point yet where they've got like half or more of an industry, so
Just like 30.
I think they're safe until their next big couple of acquisitions, and then they're really there's gonna be a big question of like, There's like an amoeba named Disney that seems to be gobbling up everything else.
But I was like, my thought on it was just like, well, they're launching their streaming service this year. They're just about to open a Disney park in Shanghai too.
Yeah.
Their parks
Got
are
a
already a
ton of
huge source of
movies
revenue.
coming out this year.
Ton of movies. They own pretty much all the major movie franchises now.
2 news networks.
Yeah.
Hulu, they're about to own Hulu.
They own about 60% of Hulu already. They're probably gonna own it all.
It's
Or
unbelievable.
if they're just gonna fold it into their fucking streaming shit.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because they're already.
Or maybe use it as the platform or whatever the fuck. I don't know what their plans are,
They're
but
doing their own. And they're, after years and years of doing their Disney Vault strategy, I hear they're gonna jettison that and just put their entire fucking catalog of like classic Disney films on their streaming service.
oh, dude, people will get it just for that.
I know.
I would.
So that's why I'm just like, they can't even go wrong with this. I mean,
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
made it so hard to watch their movies. Like everyone's gonna.
if
buy
it's just
it.
like,
So they own 20th Century Fox now, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
So all those movies
yeah,
are going to be on that streaming service.
right, and all the, and not only that, but in their 20th Century Fox acquisition now, you're gonna see now they had control the X-Men again finally.
So they control.
So you're gonna see the X-Men prop up in the Marvel universe now.
Right. What about Spider-Man?
Well, they made a deal with Sony for Spider-Man.
Right,
so
that's
why
right.
They've got their Sony thing, but they also got the Fantastic Four back when they acquired Fox.
Right.
So like the few things, like all of the Marvel characters that other people had licensing rights to, they've pretty much systematically gotten them all. They're just like, we just own all the superheroes except for DC, I guess.
Yeah.
But every Marvel fucking thing now they pretty much have.
They might
Wow.
get DC too. Who knows?
Fucking insanes.
Yeah, maybe they'll just. Well, I don't think Warner Brothers is letting go of that, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
Got a fucking limerick here. He stands a mountainous man. He smokes whenever he can. Although he is tall, his pee-pee is small, and his segments jiggle when ran.
When ran? When ran?
It doesn't work.
Sorry.
Fell apart at the end,
Yeah,
man.
You were so close.
Yeah. weak ending, dude.
It's that last 2 words, man. We could have changed it and it would have worked.
Yep.
Oh, Squirlatosis got his A+ on your stream. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I was drunk, so I don't know if it was actually an A+. But
He just got
It
tired
was
of doing
pretty
it.
good.
Got tired of him trying.
I don't know. He kind of rhymed like butter and like
utter.
udda
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But whatever.
It worked for me.
Yeah.
It was funny at least.
I figured he got earned his A+. I still haven't modded him because he can't, I guess, do it from the mobile. But
Yeah, you can.
well, it didn't give me an option.
I do it all the time from here. I modded the dude today.
You're gonna have to teach TJ.
Well, I know what you do. You like click on their name or whatever, and it shows like some options. It didn't show mod options. So
Maybe it's just your phone is different or whatever. Mine's an iPhone, so.
So we look at the channel.
Mods, yeah, dude. The mods are here to oppress you, so I don't have to waste my time doing it. Isn't that great?
No pressure.
I love authoritarianism, man. I can see why so many people have sought to establish authoritarian dictatorships. I love it, man. I love the idea that there are, people out there telling you how to feel and what you can and can't say, dude. Right now, there's a whole crew eyeballing every fucking thing you say. What kind of post-capitalist society are you for? Are you a communist? I wouldn't call myself a communist. I'm not necessarily adverse to communism being updated and tried, but I wouldn't call myself necessarily a communist. I don't know what kind of post-capitalist society I'd necessarily directly advocate for. There's like a resource-based economy idea. There's, the whole rewilder idea. There's, of course, my kind of futuristic AI, one world government kind of idea. As far as like what the political particulars of that are, you'd have to ask a smarter dude. I'm an advocate for listening to people who are coming up with radical ideas about how a post-capitalist society could work. I'm not smart enough to do it myself, or at the very least I haven't come up with it myself yet, but that doesn't mean I can't advocate for that sort of idea. I was talking yesterday about how I feel like that kind of idea will happen, and you'll start hearing a lot more thinkers that are coming up with radical ideas about that when the coming multi-collapse starts to really accelerate. We're talking about like the collapse of the job market, where the bottom falls out of all this unskilled labor, the collapse of the environment, which is also going to have huge economic implications because so many people work jobs like coastal jobs that are going to be completely gone. Fishing jobs, I mean, 90% of the large ocean fish are now dead, probably more. You know, when all of this shit starts coming home to roost, there's going to be an explosion of radical thinkers that start to really examine capitalism and its propensity to vacuum up every resource around it and distribute it to a very small proportion of humanity. There's going to be some real questions asked about how we have lived and how we've all agreed to live and under what auspices. And that's really, it's sad that has to happen when it's probably already too late, but that's kind of the way it is. That's why I advocate for it, because I feel like, you know, I'm not a participant in the political process, but at least my voice is out there as an advocate of doing something before the collapse really, you know, takes hold. Trying to prepare ourselves for the, you know, massive loss of jobs that automation is going to bring.
Super collapse.
I think they'll have a groomer robot soon.
Cool.
And I'll be out of work.
I mean,
And
that,
probably a barista
yeah,
robot too.
that sort of thing is, I mean, yeah, like jobs like, I mean, any kind of entry level position. I don't know about the groomer robot. That's probably going to be a while.
Yeah, probably.
But-
But I think it could
Oh yeah.
potentially
I mean, on a long
happen.
enough time scale, it's definitely going to
See the
happen.
robot I retweeted? The latest Boston Dynamics.
Oh yeah, that looks like a weird fucking ostrich. Can jump and fucking roll around, and it's counterbalanced by a big weight.
Yeah, did you see it, Chelsea?
Nope.
It's fucking crazy.
It's cool.
Don't forget how huge the species is. Not everyone within it agrees with each other. This species may have capitalists, but it also has people who take responsibility for the damage it caused. Well, the people take, like,
So fast.
I mean, I don't disagree that there are people out there that are against it, but them taking responsibility for the damage of capitalism doesn't really do anything to fucking fix it. It doesn't really do anything to staunch the flow. I mean, I agree it's an important thing, take responsibility for the problems, but I think that we live in a world that has roundly overall decided that capitalism is the way to go. And I think that in order for us to, as a species, really start questioning whether or not capitalism is the best way and what could replace it and what kind of life would replace that is going to take a massive, massive upheaval, a massive collapse.
Just wait till they got the fucking robot cops, dude. When RoboCop is real, that's when shit gets super nuts.
It's coming. Robot soldiers and robot cops and unmanned fucking drones and all this shit. Driverless cars. It's already happening, man. We're just like it seems like it's not happening because we're experiencing it from our, you know, limited perspective and our limited lifespans. And so when something doesn't happen 5 years after somebody says it's coming, you think it was just quackery. But the truth, usually when it comes to this far future stuff, is that it has happened over that 5 years, just incrementally, smallly. You know, we're on the cusp of so much. It's such a fucked up time to be alive, you know? Because we're right on the fucking edge of all kinds of negativity and all kinds of positivity, and you can see it all, but we're just not there yet.
Yeah, if any of you guys want to see a crazy robot, go to my Twitter because I retweeted one but yesterday.
I mean, yeah, if you want to take a look, Boston Dynamics in general, just look at their channel and look at some of the robots they've made if you haven't.
But man, this new one is fucking crazy. It's like going down hills and snow and jumping like a fucking flea and picking up 100-pound boxes and just
And it's so fast. Like, it's way faster than a human would be.
Mhm.
And it's...
And well, like one of the things that showed it doing was what's called palletizing or hand stacking, which my mom did for most of her life. That was her job. Not only that, but it's, you know, back-breaking work. You lift a box, you carry it, you stack it. You lift a box, you carry it, you stack it. You keep doing that until it's high enough, and then a forklift comes and takes the pallet away, and you do it again. Yeah. I mean, and that kind of work is back-breaking and horrible, and pretty soon people aren't going to have to do it anymore.
Yeah. There's lots of injuries involved.
So there's a positive there, you know, but the negative is that people won't be able to do it anymore. There won't be a need for people to do it anymore.
Right. So you gotta find something else.
Right. So all the people that are currently still doing that kind of work are going to be shit out of luck, along with the truckers and the fast food workers and the Walmart attendants and everything else.
Even some higher end jobs, like accountants, wealth advisors, all these people like that, like a lot of accounting stuff, even a lot of lawyer stuff is going to be automated.
Yeah.
Like, because they, you know, getting pretty close to when a machine, I mean, like an artificial intelligence can search for the relevant documents a lot easier than a legal aid or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, here are the
Faster.
relevant cases. Do.
Yeah.
And
I watched-
even like construct legal arguments and shit.
And then we're right on the cusp of this cybernetic revolution, too. I watched a video the other day of a dude that had his arm off right about here at the elbow.
Yeah.
And he's got an arm that he can just boom, put his arm in, and it's like,
I saw a guy
rotate his wrist all the way around.
I saw,
Holy shit.
I saw a guy the other day. He had no arms. He had 2 robot arms, and it was just like.
Yep.
So they're even better than humans.
They're not yet. They haven't. Well, in some ways they are. Like the wrist being able to do a full 360. You can't do that with your hand. Right now, they're not as dexterous as the human hand. They're not as good as the fine motion that is what we have our hands and fingers for. But it's rapidly going to reach a point where when you go to war and come back with an arm blown off, you get something better than your arm back.
Right.
Yeah, well,
It's like you're not handicapped
Right.
anymore. You're better than
the
human.
interesting thing is, you know, what happens when it's so much better that people are like, fuck this.
Well, that's transhumanism,
Right.
Because that's the natural outcropping of this. Right now, all this limb replacement is on traumatic limb loss, right? But once, like TJ said, once we get to the fucking point where like your legs are better if you have them chopped off, then there are going to be people that are going to start trying to breach that frontier of, hey, I want this
There's
electively.
going to be other people that are like, this disturbs and offends us.
Oh yeah, there's
you
going to be a
can't do
huge.
this.
You know who it'll be? Religious people.
Yeah.
Right?
It'll be the purity of your temple. You're defiling your temple. There's a spark to humanity that you're putting out, and where does this end? And they're right too, because it doesn't end. As soon as you can get. Yeah, as soon as you can get your legs replaced, you can get your spine replaced, you can get your heart replaced with a fucking endless, ceaseless pump. Why aren't you going to?
Right.
You can get your eyeballs replaced with digital facsimiles that can zoom 100x at perfect fidelity.
What's going on over there? Oh, look at the eagle.
Oh yeah, you can see in the dark perfectly. Why wouldn't you do that?
If I'm alive for any of that, you could bet your fucking ass I'm doing that shit.
You won't be, but we're right on the cusp of it,
I
man.
mean, I feel like I might be alive for some of it.
Some
I don't
of it,
know about-
yeah.
I don't know about the level we're talking about, but I don't know. I hope I end life with at least some robot in me.
Dude, you're gonna be able to fly. That's the thing. There's a dude that came up with these weird fucking jet things. 2 of them on his arms and 2 of them on his legs, and he flies like fucking Iron Man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just think about when they're able to integrate that into the limbs. You're gonna have people that can just go on a little fucking journey in the sky, man. Who fucking
See you
cares?
later.
Yep.
Dude, that's awesome.
Any future tech that you're looking forward to, all of it. I want it all to come and take away the pain of this mundane existence now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about some of it. Limb replacement, eye replacement, brain augmentation, direct brain interfacing is another thing that's on the cusp of breaking. I mean, it's not even breaking.
Yeah.
It's like that's a big part of how these limbs are working. These
Right.
limbs are
I mean, they're already
directly
signals from
reading
the brain.
nerve ending impulses from the brain. Well, think about the implications of that in like video gaming or simulation. I mean, we're talking about holodeck
Imagine
shit.
if you could control your character just by like thought, you know,
Or if
or if you're just
It
like
could
a mirror
beam-
immersive like the Matrix. You
right,
know?
you're asleep, but it's beaming that information directly into your brain in a way that your brain can't tell it's not real. So you're interacting in a completely real feeling world just like this, but you no consequences, or you're a superhero, or
Whatever you want to do.
whatever it is. I mean, all of that shit is on the cusp.
Yeah.
Pretty nuts.
The end of obesity and all of these diseases and shit. There won't be that in the
I'd love to
future.
just
People
like,
will live longer for sure.
Of course, yeah.
dude, I'd love to just be like the Hulk or something and just go around and smash shit. That'd be so cool.
That would be amazing.
Like, can you just imagine rampaging through this neighborhood and just like smashing up the neighbors' houses and fucking grabbing trees and like swinging them at fucking cars and shit? And yeah,
TJ Smash.
hell yeah, dude.
Damn.
I was thinking about it more like a holodeck kind of way, but TJ wants to do it in reality.
Well, I mean, if it was a simulation that my mind couldn't tell the difference, that'd be just as good.
I got an angry one, dude. I got an angry limerick.
Oh, an angry limerick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting tired of this. I'll leave you with one final diss. You can suck on my knob, you cantankerous blob. I hope you find blood in your piss. Bravo.
That's an A+ right there.
All right, let me go to this dude. Let me get this guy mod.
I don't know if you should mod that guy. He sounds like
Hey, no, that's fine. That's fine.
he's just gonna.
I have several mods that hate my guts in here. It works out okay.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, it
Rock
does.
on, then.
I trust them all.
That's a classic right there.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a clever rhyme, but just like the level of hostility in it was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was very hostile.
Blood in your piss.
Yeah, it was a very hostile one. I liked it.
Yeah, not many people can infuse a limerick with such hate.
Yeah, that was a spiteful one, man. I liked it. Cantankerous blob, man.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I am a cantankerous blob. You got me. You got me with that one, bud.
That'd be cool. The blob. That'd be another creature that'd be interesting to be. Just go around and consume. Consume all.
How many mods is too many mods? I don't think there is such a
I
thing.
want to get the rights to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And either remake it or sequel.
Dude, whoever owns those would be a retard to sell them.
I know, right?
Just owning the rights to it, even if you don't do anything, you know. Yeah, it even has like a soundtrack.
I know. P.T. Bonham said it so long ago. But what on every minute, don't you? Oh, that song.
I know you do.
I'm out there, I'm gonna kill the clown.
Killer clown, wow, wow, wow.
It's good,
From
dude.
outer space. Dude, that's the best fucking movie ever made.
Yeah,
Fuck all
I don't know
other
about the
movies.
best movie ever made.
Fuck, no,
But
I
it's
do.
amazing.
It
Fuck
is
all
amazing.
other movies.
I'll give it
And you know
that.
what? It actually kind of is similar to The Blob because it both starts with a meteor and an old man and his dog going to check out the
Yeah.
meteor and then dying. So,
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good movie for sure.
that's a classic. It's the best movie of all time. Name one better. Name one movie better.
Would you be afraid of your cybernetic replacements being hacked? I mean, that's definitely going to be something that is going to have to be addressed, right?
Oh, yeah.
The more of us that gets replaced, the more ability there might be for people to assume direct control of you. You know what I mean? It's definitely an ethical thing that's probably going to... There's so much blood going to be running in the streets for humanity in the future. There's so many fights and civil wars and ugliness before we ever reach anything like, you know, homeostasis. There's going to be chaos and upheaval, and every one of these things that I talk about comes with a river of blood in its name.
Oh, my
You know
God,
what I mean?
yeah. And right now, like, people think, like, oh, man, times are crazy now. I'm like, this is the stable times before shit gets really wild.
Yeah,
So,
we're
if you can't handle this, you might as well fucking eat a bullet. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
you might
gonna
as well
get
check out now.
Super crazy.
yeah. Next 20 or 30 years are going to be some interesting
Oh,
fucking
God,
times.
yes. When the fucking, oh, my God, yeah. All the fish are dead.
I mean,
all the fucking ecosystems are collapsing.
I've reached the age now where I can kind of like look back on the time when I was a kid and how fucking insanely different everything is now. Like, not necessarily everything. I guess all these little houses look like the houses when I was a kid. But I'm talking about, like, just the computing power and the connectivity of people and what people spend their time doing, what they care about, how they interact with one another, and how everything is totally different. It's like humanity has gone through a complete sea change in how it communicates just in my lifetime.
Yep.
So that's, nigh on 40 years. What's going to happen in the next fucking 40?
Oh, it's gonna be so much weirder.
You know?
There's no way we could really even guess exactly how it's gonna be. 'Cause
Oh,
like
I know.
when you were a kid, you had no idea it was gonna be like this.
Fuck no. Like a cell phone would have blown my mind out of my ass as a kid.
Yeah.
Just if you would have handed me a cell phone and it was something I could swipe my finger on and shit and make things happen, I would have been like, oh my god! It would have just like my eyeballs would have turned into mist from the pure awesome of it.
Dude, I was just trying to imagine like being a little kid playing like Super Mario fucking Brothers or whatever, and then it's like, hey, here's a fucking Xbox One or some shit, and it's like, what the?
Photorealistic graphics and explosions going off, and you're just like, how did this, all this happened in my lifetime? All of it.
Yeah.
Like VR.
Yeah. I mean, we're just living in a totally different world technologically and politically and.
But our brains have not evolved very much at all.
But that was true back in the 80s too. We were still in the same boat. We were still like monkeys that were basically just figuring out how to do this, like
Yeah.
not being in the jungle thing. And now we're in the same spot, but we've got all this insane technology now.
It's available to almost everyone.
Yeah. I mean, there are certainly huge swaths of the population that haven't yet felt the impact of this technology. When we're talking about, like, the march is definitely towards it.
Just wonder how far the monkeys can get.
I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's the big game.
I just wonder if we'll reach the point where it's like, if we get to the point of intelligence augmentation, then maybe we'll get to like, okay, I'm gonna go to like 700 IQ. Oh my god, we've been really stupid. Oh shit.
Increase irrational
What have we done?
emotion.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We need to fix this. This is bad. This is way worse than we even thought, now that I'm seeing it
But
through
most people
700
will just
IQ
use
perception.
it for power.
That's a crazy one to me. How are they gonna do that? Because intelligence to me, I don't think IQ does it. I think there's some people with some profoundly high IQs that got some stupid fucking ideas.
Yeah, for
Dude,
sure.
the guy with the world's highest IQ, or the guy that tested the best on the IQ test, when you hear him talk, he's like definitely smart, but he is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like
That
his
doesn't surprise me.
no, his point of views are just like, what? He's got a really fucking bizarre outlook. But he tests the highest on the IQ test or whatever. I forget what his name is. He used to be a bouncer and shit too. So
I think there needs to be a total sea change in how we see intelligence. I think that's another frontier that maybe it's not as apparent as the other ones that we're talking about, but I think we're right on the cusp of a totally different understanding of what intelligence is.
Yeah.
And how we kind of quantify it, not just in ourselves, but in other species.
Definitely.
Salvador is not intelligent.
You don't know that.
I
He is
mean,
a dumb fuck. Salvador, you
he's
dumb.
not that stupid
You dumb.
compared to us, maybe, but
You dumb.
in comparison to like all living creatures,
Right.
Dumb
I mean,
as
he can communicate and he,
Nope, he's a dummy.
knows words and shit.
Those words.
I don't know.
It's crazy to think about, though.
It is. Come here, you big dumb.
I think all this wireless shit has affected brain development. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe like screen time or whatever maybe affects brain development. I'm willing to go with that. I don't know what you mean. Like, I think you're trying to say
Well,
like,
I mean, the thing about neuroplasticity is that brains have a tendency to customize themselves based on the tasks they're given.
right.
Like, so, I mean, you can't even argue that if spending all your time on a screen, you're developing a type of intelligence that's all geared around doing that.
Yeah.
So other tasks, don't get as much brain power devoted to them.
Well, somebody sent me this thing the other day on Twitter. It was an article from The Guardian or some shit about how there's a new study out that says that screen time in teens.
I saw you ripping
Yeah.
it apart and stuff, or at least posing some
Yeah,
questions towards it.
It's like, new study finds screen time in teens actually is fine. It doesn't do anything detrimental to them. And then you go and read it, and it's not even a study that was done independently. It's culled from multiple other studies. And those studies are all self-reporting or journaling studies, which rely on the subjects, who in this case are teenage kids, to be honest and self-aware enough to know how much time they're spending on their phones. When other studies that have been done show that people that use their phone a lot tend to underestimate, and people that don't use their phone a lot tend to overestimate. So it's a completely worthless shill study, probably backed by people in the industry that are trying to halt this drumbeat of like, wow, kids are just staring at their fucking phones all day. It's bad. And they're trying to find fucking shill-ass scientists that are willing to just ask teens, like, do you feel like you're detrimentally affected by how much time you spend on your phone? No. The results are in. It's like, no, the results are far from in.
Yeah, that's not a great study.
Studies say women are most negatively affected by social media. I can get that, women being typically more emotional creatures than men.
Sexist.
And the negativity that is inherent in social media, I can see how it might affect them differently, for sure. You'll have a mechanical wrist. Our fleshy arms will not be missed, but beware, you dolts, because it gives off bolts when you bang your wife with your fist.
Okay.
That was okay. Had some meter problems. Not the greatest limerick, but it was all right. It was all right.
I thought the end was kind of clever.
Have you heard about Pete Buttigieg?
Booty judge.
No, I have not.
Dude, he's the new media. After their fucking Kamala Harris shit kind of fizzled out, they're like, fuck, okay, who next? It's like he's the latest flavor of the week in the mainstream media, basically.
Oh, okay.
All right, so here's his deal. He's gay. That's it. He's gay and he's smart. He's like Harvard educated or some shit, and he speaks Norwegian and he's gay and he's the mayor of some like North Bend, Indiana or something. It's a population of 102,000 people. So they're like, he's gonna do it. He's the new rising star. And I'm just like, where's his policies? I went to his website. I tried to find policy. I'm like, policy, none. Okay. And then later I hear that he's actually been asked. He was confronted directly by a Vice reporter who was like, not really a lot of policy specifics in your thing. He's like, oh, well, I'm more about putting out the philosophy I believe in, and then we'll figure out the policy later. I'm like, oh, so we're okay. Yeah, you just vote for me into office, and then I'll figure out what my policy is.
I don't blame him. I mean, that seems to be the substance of the American political campaign now.
Well,
policy takes a back seat, and it's a personality game, so he's just playing that.
I guess so.
I mean, I think that's the way the wind is blowing. I think you're going to see more and more of that as time goes on. More and more political figures who are less about hard policy and more about, like, I'm the new guy.
Well, I want to see it go in the opposite direction.
I don't think you're gonna.
I'm hoping for some super policy heavy.
We got Beto out there. Beto's pretty much floating to candidacy with zero policy right now.
Yep, he's the same.
I mean, Trump had policy, but they were Trump policies.
Yeah, but there were still policies.
Right.
Like, I'm going to fucking stop these Muslims from coming in, and I'm going to stop these Mexicans from coming in. It's basically just like a,
right.
Whatever, xenophobic fucking isolationist, not quite isolationist, but like quasi-isolationist policy.
It seems to be a kind of an artifact of the left these days to be more about going after the opposition than
really,
building up yourself.
Trump kind of has a protectionist sort of view of trade, which is really more traditionally a Democratic kind of approach.
Right.
But
he hasn't been able to.
He hasn't really been able to pull it off. But
right.
That seems to.
I mean, he's pulled off some aspects of it. His tariff
he's
bullshit.
Got the tariffs and all that. Which I don't think the tariffs are inherently a bad idea, but you can't just roll out a bunch of tariffs all at once and just expect it to not.
Right. Well, they've had a negative impact because they've been kind of like a scattershot. of weird tariffs that have actually negatively impacted a lot of farming.
The fucking shit he was saying. I saw him the other day say that, you know, they come to me and, you know, I tell them I'm going to put tariffs on the cars, and then they come and they argue, and I put a plastic car on the desk, and then they're like, okay, we agree. I'm like, what? You put a plastic car on the desk, and they look at the plastic car, and they're like, any counter argument I had
Defeated.
is defeated by your plastic fucking car. It's fucking doing micro machine foreign policy and shit.
Utterly defeated.
It's like,
dude.
what the fuck? What am I looking at this point?
How can you come back to that, dude? You just can't.
God bless the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I see Kyle a lot of the times advocating for a lot of the same positions that you do, and I understand it. I think it's a noble position to take. I'm just, you know me, I just don't see it happening. I think you guys are all like bullhorning on the deck of the Titanic here.
Playing as the ship goes down.
I think that I mean, even if we do get a Sanders presidency, I don't think that stops the flow. I was talking about that earlier. There's no one politician solution to this.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. It wouldn't be the first time.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't count on it. I don't see any reason not to, like, give it some kind of go, but, you know, I mean, I think that the problems that
Isn't giving it one more go kind of...
I mean, it's not really one more go. It's just kind of like...
Well, it is, though.
I mean, it's like, I think it's a sustained sort of, like, effort to try to get people to give a shit about things that actually matter. But they don't, so...
Right.
It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's too much distraction, man. The human mind is too fickle. It needs to be filled with new, interesting, silly information all the time. It doesn't have... There's not enough...
People want novelty.
Yeah, and they have it in spades in this society. I mean, if we do one thing well, it's giving people novel things to stare at. We got that down to a fucking science, man. Literally. They're making things that are just designed to encapsulate your mind.
Did you hear, I was watching Andrew Yang, actually on Ben Shapiro the other day.
Yeah.
And I learned, he was talking about how he wanted there to be, like, oversight over some of these social media companies in terms of, like, what you were talking about with the dopamine looping and shit. Cause
Yeah.
like, Andrew Yang was basically like, you know, there's, like, teams of, like, psychologists and scientists and cognitive neuroscientists and all this stuff that are, like, trying to make this shit as addictive as possible.
Yep.
You know, maybe we should step in and say, like, no, you know, you're not allowed to just turn this.
And we're putting it in front of our children.
Right.
Like,
that was his main concern. Is like,
it's one thing for adults to surrender themselves over to distraction and time wasting, and it's another thing entirely to, like, make that a huge part of the mental development of a child.
Right. Well, when I was a kid, though, it was all about, you know, they spent so many hours in front of the Nintendo or so many hours in front of the TV. And, you know, so there's been a form of this for a while. The screen has just gotten smaller and more interactive.
Yep. And kids have spent more and more time in front of it. Like, when I was a kid, my parents used to chase me out of the house. You know what I mean? Like, if I was sitting in front of the TV all day watching cartoons or playing my Nintendo, my parents used to make me go outside and do shit.
Yeah.
And to be quite frank with you, even when I first got a Nintendo, I used to play it, but I played outside just as much or more than I played on the Nintendo. I was with my friends more than I was sitting in front of my Nintendo, so it's different now.
Yeah, I can't really make that claim because I feel like, you know, even as a kid, I'd hear reports like, you know, average child now spends 5 hours watching TV and playing Nintendo and all this, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably right in line with that.
Yeah.
Because I was all about it. It's weird because I couldn't give a fuck less about video games, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll play it every now and then, maybe, and find one play for like a week or two, but for the most part, I just don't give a shit. But man, when I was a kid, I was like, from like pretty much like through the beginnings of the 64-bit era, it was just like constant, like always playing video games.
Yeah. I definitely succumbed to it eventually. By the time that era came around, I was about 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and yeah, I started playing way more video games because they just got more and more complex and cooler and more and more time intensive, longer. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I definitely, like, my late teens, mid to late teens were just basically a wash in video game time.
I think the last game, probably Fallout New Vegas was the last game I ever took, like, super seriously in terms of my time.
Yeah.
But even prior to that, it had been years and years. Like, the one that was the video game I remember playing before Fallout New Vegas like that was probably Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which was like 10 years before.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, it's very, very occasional.
I still play games, but I play games now that don't require a lot of time. Like, I can sit down and get something accomplished in a 20-minute session. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to get lost in these, like, games that you can just play all fucking day and still have 20 hours worth of gameplay. You know what I mean? I don't really play those types of games anymore.
I got kind of in a Super Meat Boy for a while too. So
yeah, that's a really good. That's a really tight platform.
That's one that you can definitely just like play casually for a few minutes.
Oh fuck yeah, yeah.
Or just like I'll try to beat a few levels and then
That's why I like MOBAs so much. I think like League of Legends and all those types of games is because like you can just kind of jump on and play one game, and games are typically 10, 15, 20 minutes max, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're done. You can just be like, all right, that was cool. I got that out of the way. Back to work or whatever. Like, I really like those types of, and it tends to be multiplayer games that are that way, where you can just jump in, have a match or two, get off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make a little progress on your account or whatever towards your character's next gun unlock or whatever the fuck it is. That sort of shit is what I play anymore these days. Sekiro is a good example of that though, because like it's a checkpoint game, so it's like you play for 20 minutes, you get to the next checkpoint, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, there's been all this weird controversy or something I've seen, like people who suck at Sekiro, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They suck at it, and then they complain that they want, like, demand, like, an easy version or something, and then people are like, fuck you, just get good or whatever, and then the other people are like, you're ableist, and...
I actually know what you're talking about. I just tuned into it to myself, like, last night. It hit my Twitter feed or something, and I ended up kind of digging into it. So one of it started with game journalists.
Yeah.
Who were like, hey, you guys want us to give you an actual representation of what we think about these games, but with games like Sekiro and Dark Souls and shit, they're so fucking hard that we can't get far enough in the time we have. And I understand. I think that's actually true. I take the game designer's side on this shit. I think they should have an option to turn on an easy mode or skip around the game or whatever so they can experience all the content it has to offer. But that started a discussion amongst other people, like, yeah, man, I fucking hate playing those like Souls games because there's no easy mode, and I don't really want to be the best in the world, and it wouldn't hurt the game because like the people that like it hard could still play it on hard. I kind of tend to agree, but I also don't think it's up to the players of the game to decide what the manufacturers of games do with their games. Like, From Software has made their bones on being a company that makes tough as nails games.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, Dark Souls is famous because it is tough.
Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, now Sekiro, all of these games, the one unifying thing between them is that they're harder than a coffin nail to beat. And most people can't. That's the draw to it, and now people are kind of trying to argue that From Software should make their games more accessible. And I think that would remove what makes that particular company special. So I see why people are arguing about it, because I can see both sides. I don't think there should be so much emotion wrapped up in it. I mean, there are any number of easy ass casual fucking games for you to play. It'd be one thing if like all games were trying to go back to that old school mentality of being tough.
Feel that, I mean, like, look, you have a right to criticize them. Why does someone feel like they have a right to tell a game development studio how they should make their games? Like,
yeah.
I don't think they do. I think that's up to that company and how they. And obviously,
I mean, really, any kind of consumer base will have input on a product. So I mean, but
they'll have input, but
I don't know. It just seems like
the market seems to have worked out. Like, their games are wildly successful, so the market has already spoken on it.
But it just seems like there's more to it than just like consumers giving feedback.
Right.
It seems like there's like people are treating it like it's a social issue or something.
Like for me, I played Demon's Souls, which is the first Soulsborne game, and never beat it. I played Dark Souls, and after that, I was one of these people that was like, you know what, dude? I don't got the time, and I'm just not good enough to play this game, and it's fucking frustrating. I didn't go on a crusade like, hey, From Software, let my fucking inept ass beat your hard ass games. It was like,
easy mode.
I just stopped buying them. I don't own the fucking second one, Dark Souls 2, 3. I don't own any of the Bloodborne games because I just knew, it's like this company makes these games where you've got to like either have godlike reflexes or you've got to be willing to sit there and grind it out until you get that muscle memory to play it. And I just don't have time to do that anymore. So I didn't play the game. I wouldn't go to that company and like demand they make a fucking training wheels mode for my inept ass.
They're like trying to make it about ableism and shit, like, oh, if this company doesn't do this, then they're ableist against us.
Against people that suck at video games?
Yeah.
That's a protected class now?
I guess.
I suck at video games, please.
Or
When did sucking at a video game become something that needed to be protected in this country? Aren't those people supposed to be shamed for sucking?
Just now.
Like, I feel a deep shame that I can't beat a Soulsborne game. I'm deeply ashamed of that fact. I should be, because I suck. That's the point.
Nah, dude, it's not your fault. It's the fucking game studio's fault for making the game too difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen them beaten. I know it's possible. I just can't do it, man. I suck. That's part of games, man. Why are you trying to make video games not video games?
Hey, play a platformer that's made in the 90s or the 80s and no one gave a shit with stiff controls and shit. Like,
fuck yeah.
No one's going, man, you know what,
Yeah.
you can't make the easy version of Mario.
Pick up Mega Man or Mega Man 2 and tell me that there needs to be an easy mode in games. Those games are hard to fucking nail. And I was beating them when I was like 6 and 7 and 8. It's possible, man. You just can't suck. You just can't suck. Most games are that's the thing, is I feel like this bitching is for naught because most games ship in easy mode. Let's be honest, like games have taken a turn away from like, wow, this is tough and I have to grind my way through it to this is a narrative that everyone deserves to see. And you might die once or twice, but eventually perseverance will see you through to the end with your infinite continues and infinite lives and infinite respawning with all your gear. That shit is all new. And it's like these people, they've already turned video gaming into a casual thing. And now they want everything to be casual. It's like, let the hard games stay hard, man. What's the problem with it? Go play fucking Candy Crush if you want an easy game that you can turn your brain off and win every time,
But yeah, I mean, game journalists get a ton of shit because a lot of it's deserved, but
yeah, a lot of them suck at video games and or don't actually like video games.
Right, they're just journalists who happen to get saddled with that or whatever. But I can definitely understand their frustration when they're supposed to review something on a deadline and they can't progress far enough to actually do the review.
I agree. I agree
understand
that
how professionally that would be.
But that would require them to code an entirely new fucking mode in the game, and then at that point, the question is, why not release it to the public if there's an easy mode for, you know what I mean? And
there just shouldn't be an easy mode. Like
there shouldn't be. If your game review is, I was only able to get to fucking level 2 of this game because it's so fucking hard, then that's what it is.
Well, that tells you what you need to know about the game.
Like, yeah.
People who are looking for difficulty will probably be like, ooh, that's an enticing challenge.
Also,
and people who are like, I don't want a hard game, are probably going to be like, oh, that's too hard.
Why not pair them up with someone that's really fucking good at video games and really good at these kind of games?
Yeah.
To have them fucking play.
Another smart idea. Put some of these fucking speedrunner guys to work. Have the best Dark Souls player in the world come through and you sit next to him and watch him play through the content. And then write your review about it. And you pick up the sticks every once in a while, try it out yourself so you can get a feel for it. Like, yeah, there's solutions outside of, like, adding an easy mode into a game.
I guarantee that there's people out there that can go play, like, fucking Dark Souls or Sekiro and fucking just go and whoop the game's ass.
Dude, anybody...
But there's very few people.
If you're fucking... The thing is, if you're fucking kick-ass at any of the Soulsborne games, you're gonna pick up a Soulsborne game and be kick-ass at it. Doesn't mean you're going to beat it right away. Sure. It just means that you're equipped with the knowledge of the particulars of how these characters move and how the attacks work in this game. You're ready to face, the challenge. And if you're not into those types of games, you're going to get your ass handed to you until you learn it.
And that's all it really is. It's just a steep learning curve. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that just physically can't do it, but for the most part, it's just you have to learn it, like, through attrition. Yeah, the mistakes you make. I've played some of those games, and that's usually what it is. Like, you go into a room and you're killed instantly. You're
They
like,
need
oh,
to
shit.
release an easy version of Tetris where you only get line pieces.
Yeah. Only blocks. Only the squares. Dee 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 dee.
You know?
know?
It's like at some point, like you gotta say, fuck that.
Well, a lot of people play these games for the challenge. That's the whole thing. Like, why can't there be a challenging gaming company, then easy ones, and then softball?
There already is. So
There already are. In
It's
fact,
like-
there are more non-challenging video game companies now than there are challenging ones.
Yeah, I mean, like so many video games now are so hand-holding and shit, where it's like, you know, you die, you pretty much get left back right. You know, you get to redo
I
the
can't
very
think of any modern games other than the Soulsborne franchise that are doing like punishment for deaths, other than going back to the beginning of the level. You know what I mean? Like, and that used to be standard in games. You had 3 lives and 2 continues or whatever, so total of 9 lives to try and get as far as you could in the game, and that was pretty generous if they gave you continues. A lot of them early NES games, early Castlevania games, you got 2 lives and that's it. You die twice and you back to the beginning, bud. That's just, you can't even hardly find that anymore. It's me beating a hard game